Welcome to the Deliberate Action Podcast, where we have real conversations about men, culture, and the impact on families. Speaking of culture and impact, Chris, I know you just had a trip over for a leadership summit. If you wanted to kind of give a breakdown of that.
Yeah, so I just went to First Form headquarters, and if you know anything about First Form, they are known not just for their products, but for the people that represent the brand and the culture that they have across the board, top down. You see it from guys like Andy Frisella, who runs the company with his brother Sal, all the way down to the low level Legionnaire representing the brand and adjusting the Form Energy cans in a gas station to make sure that they're all aligned. You see that these standards are upheld across the board. My biggest takeaway from that is like the moment you walk through the door, you'll notice the attention to detail. There's no dust. There's no like the windows, if there weren't barriers in between the windows, you'd probably walk through them. That's how clean they are. All the rolling chairs are pushed in, equally spaced between the chair next to it, and the wheels are facing the same direction. You walk into the bathroom, there's no water in the sinks. You walk past a water fountain, there's no water in the water fountain. There's no piss from the toilet seats. There's zero paper, crumbs, anything on the floors. Then they have their gym. This was probably the highlight, was getting to work out in the First Form gym. The weights, all the numbers on the weights are perfectly parallel and in line. The dumbbells are perfectly in line with each other. And you see this attention to detail. And it's very important to note because there's a reason why they have the culture that they do, and it is because the standards that they keep. And how you do one thing is how you do everything. So when you think that you don't need to make your bed in the morning and you wonder why your finances are disorganized, or when you think that you don't have to have a clean bathroom until you have guests come over, and you wonder why you don't have any direction for your business or your career. Like there's the little things matter, the little things that we pay attention to, the standards that we hold ourselves to matter. And here's the biggest thing that I want guys to take away from it. The biggest thing that I took away from it: when you enter an environment that challenges the standard that you already have, you have two choices. You can reject that standard. And when everybody else is winning, everybody else who adopted that standard, when everybody else is winning, you're going to blame them and say that they're just something special about them. Or you can adopt that new standard and look forward to the wins that are about to come, because there's a reason why certain people, the special people, win. And when you get into an environment where you see their standard, the only option you have if you're someone who wants to win is to elevate to that standard.
Yeah, and I know Andy has long preached personal excellence, and I've heard him say multiple times on his podcast that the culture they have at First Form, they basically regulate like anyone that's going through the building, whether it's a guest or an employee, but especially employees. If there's a piece of trash on the ground, you are expected to pick it up and throw it away. Same thing if it's out in the parking lot. They expect people to police themselves, police each other, police the grounds, make sure everything is in perfect shape, to the point where they will expect employees to park at the far end of the parking lot just so that they can get the extra steps in walking to the building, as opposed to the lazy effort of getting the closest parking so you don't have to walk the extra 100 feet.
Yeah, and I say all that, and then people are like, "Oh, they just must have a really nice, like a really good. They must pay their custodial staff really well." They don't have a custodial staff. They have zero custodial staff. That is all. Like that just happens to be the standard that every single person that walks into that building holds themselves to. And if you don't hold yourself to that standard, congratulations, you no longer work there. Like it's just, it is what it is. And the fact that they have that, a cleaner building than most chain restaurants or most chain gyms or big box, you name it. and don't have a custodial staff speaks to the standard that they carry themselves to or hold themselves to.
Yeah, and it reminds me of being back on the teams. It was very common to expect to see E7s, E8s, or even E9s out in the hallway or in front of the building, sweeping up dirt, mowing the grass, picking up trash. For anyone that's not familiar with military ranks, that would be the equivalent of mid level management or even upper management being out there doing police calls and picking up trash. Everyone is expected to pitch in, do their part, and take pride in the organization and the facilities that house that organization.
Yeah. And the last thing that I'll say about it is when you're interacting with people who live in that environment, it's crazy to see almost like it's an entirely new world where everybody in that environment wants you to win. I can describe to somebody what my vision for the cohort is and what my vision for my 5 year tenure is. And it's not like the snarky, okay, dude, or sounds great, man. Hope you the best of luck. It's, dude, that's fucking awesome. I can't wait to see it happen. And that's from everybody. It's an authenticity and a real, like, I'm on a path to win. I want to see you there as well. This is a different kind of human, and it's rare to see. And it pushed me to raise my standard at home because the standard you hold yourself to behind closed doors is the standard you're going to hold others to.
Yeah, and on the cohort side, maybe you could go a little in depth on what that means as far as what members can expect from the cohort itself, what they may gain as far as like the standards levels on the side of the administrative staff for the cohort, and also what is expected of members when they join and the standards to hold themselves to.
Yeah, so we have the free side. If you are a man and you're looking to get better with your firearms, fitness, hold yourself to a higher standard, the free side is a really good place to start. The second you get into the exclusive side, you're going to be held to a higher standard. We operate off of 7 core values, and a mission. Our mission is to forge men into effective protectors and providers, protectors and leaders. And it's not for everybody. I don't want it to be for everybody. People have gotten in there and been super excited and realized that the standard is a little bit too high for them, and then they start ghosting the community. That's a good way to get kicked to the curb and kicked out of the community, because we are here to lead ourselves better as men so that we can effectively lead our families and our communities better. And that means that we're going to be pushing ourselves every day. It means that we're going to get rid of all of the excuses that every single person on the planet has. I'm sick of seeing guys that use their families and their children as an excuse as to why they couldn't make it to the gym or why they could. I can point to about 10 examples of people with way busier lives than most of them, with more children leading massive companies that are still able to effectively execute on everything that they need to execute in. And so that is our mission, is to ensure that the people are the right people for the cohort. And then we branch out and we start leading ourselves, our families, and our communities much better. We do that with firearms training, fitness, nutrition, everything that you need in order to be successful as a protector, because it is not just how well you shoot. It is how well you maintain your physical readiness, your mental readiness. You can't be 350 pounds overweight and expect to protect your family. I'm sorry, it's a fallacy. And so everybody within the cohort is held to that standard. And unfortunately, actually, I would say fortunately, we have had people that we have had to remove, because it is my job and it is our team's job to protect the culture that we are trying to build.
Yeah, and not to say that everyone who comes in is going to be at that standard initially. There's a lot of really fit guys in the cohort, a lot of guys who are already doing the right thing and have been for years. But then there's guys who are at, say, I guess, a beginner level. They've had the right mindset for a long time as far as family first, protecting their loved ones, but kind of let health and wellness go by the wayside. And like you said, might be a little on the plus size. So a lot of them are putting in the effort. They're dropping the weight. They're doing what they can to get in shape and do what's right. and moving towards a goal. What we don't want to see is someone who comes in at that level below the standard and then doesn't do anything to actually improve themselves.
Yeah, guys who come in and they don't contribute, or they're arrogant and think that their experience means more than it really does. Like, listen, your experience is great, but nobody here has all the answers. We are all pushing and striving every single day to be the best versions of ourselves. And even, I mean, the guys leading the cohort are leading the cohort because they have good experience, yes, but they also are individuals who are looking to learn, get better every single day. You can come in not having any ounce of knowledge as to how to shoot, what to do in the gym, how to eat. But if your mindset is, I want to get better and I'm here to learn. And then eventually, as I continue to learn, I'm going to lead those around me. That's all that we're really looking for.
Yeah. And one thing that guys can do um, on the home front is taking care of their families, teaching their wives and kids how to be safe, what to do if an incident occurs. Recently, not too far from here in Seattle, um, some guy, I think it was a homeless dude, tried to kidnap a child, and she basically started screaming, kicking, punching, fighting back. And that attracted attention. The bystanders were able to save the girl. The dude took off running and was later apprehended. If she had done what a lot of kids do and just panic and freeze up in that situation, it might have ended very differently. And one thing that fathers can do, even for very young, small kids, is teach them don't just give in. Don't make yourself a victim. Be a threat, even if that threat is only attracting attention to the situation by screaming, by yelling, all the practices of stranger danger. Start on the home front with your own wife and kids and teach them what to do.
Yeah, part of leading means having the requisite conversations instead of assuming. Um, my my wife knows that I'm going to protect her if I'm home, right? Like if it's me or if we're out in public together, she doesn't really have a concern. What though if I'm not home? Have I had those conversations? Right. And that's something that gets neglected a lot of the time because the man just thinks, well, I'll protect her. Yeah, well, not if you're 40 minutes away and the average response time for police in the area is 30 minutes. A lot can happen in 30 minutes. And it's not to like fearmonger or tell people that you should always be concerned that something's going to happen, but you should absolutely be prepared. Once again, I love the quote by Miyamoto Musashi: "It's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war." I would really hate for my wife to have to survive and figure it the fuck out because I chose not to prepare her for if I wasn't around.
Very good point. And usually we would have more articles to kind of go through and talk about some current events. Unfortunately, events in DC and globally have kind of dominated the news front lately. But to that point about protecting your wives, taking care of them, stepping up if an incident occurs. Recently, we had the gentleman who allegedly attempted um, to attack the president at the White House Correspondents' Dinner and ran through security, forgetting the lapse in security, all the issues that basically led to what occurred. There were multiple men at the event, most of them well-known Republicans, who, when it happened, basically hid under a table, hid behind their wives, or fled the room, leaving their wives at the table behind them. And only one, I won't say his name, but only one actually stood and put himself between where the threat was coming from and his wife and stayed with her until he was able to ensure her safety. Everyone else basically fled the scene and left their wives to fend for themselves.
Yeah, it's some weak shit. Yeah, that take away my concerns with the entire situation and the fact that most of it doesn't seem very realistic or probable. there's
Yeah.
I saw another video of I can't remember who he is on Instagram, what his name is on Instagram, but he points out that um there's this individual, there's two couples walking towards, I think, a stadium, and there's this individual causing a massive ruckus. And these men are walking in front of their wives, and their wives are in between the husband and the individual. And not for 1 second did the husbands move in between or take care of the individual the way they should have. And it just speaks to, like, it is uncommon, unfortunately, nowadays to see men who are preparing themselves to protect their families or even thinking about protecting their families. We've been so softened as a culture to think that, like, I don't get it. I don't get it. We see all the videos on Instagram where it's like this girl walking through a field with a basket. She's got her food in the other hand. She's walking to go collect eggs in the morning, and then it says what had to have happened for society to be convinced that this was not okay as a lifestyle. Um, well, she probably has a husband who's providing and protecting and stuff like that. And it's interesting to think about what had to have happened over the course of 40 years to convince men that they no longer needed to lead, no longer needed to protect, and no longer needed to provide.
Yeah. Even something as simple as putting yourself between your wife, girlfriend, or whoever. It could be your child if you're with your kid instead of your spouse. In between them and even a perceived threat. You could be walking down the sidewalk, and how many men nowadays do you see where they've got themselves next to the building instead of next to the road, instead of putting themselves between the road and their wife or their child in case a car jumps the curb, runs into them, or there's some sort of a drive-by incident. Anything can happen in a moment's notice before you can react, and putting yourself where the greatest expected threat might be is a step in the right direction.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, speaking of cars, not the best segue, but I'm sure we've all seen recently the government passed a bill which basically states all new cars starting next year in 2027 will have to have AI installed, which will monitor you. It will come installed with a kill switch so that they can shut down your vehicle, or the AI can actually shut down your vehicle if the AI thinks you are impaired to drive. This could come into play during an emergency situation. Say you are injured, you hop in your car and you have to try and drive yourself to the hospital. The car won't allow you to start because your eyes are super dilated, you're seeming frantic, and according to the AI, you might be impaired and not able to drive. Or you could just be in a rushed state of mind because say your wife or your friend is bleeding out and you're trying to get them to somewhere to safety to a hospital, but you can't now because your vehicle won't allow you to start. A ton of issues that can arise because of this bill that got passed. But the majority of both Republicans and Democrats voted for this.
Yeah, except for Thomas Massey.
Yeah.
Is that so? Every vehicle manufactured after 2027, or are they going to require every citizen to now take their vehicle in and install this software?
So my understanding of the bill is that all new vehicles manufactured in 2027 or after will have to have this new technology installed. Um, As far as older models being updated, that I'm not sure, but I do believe we will see a lot of companies that deal with automobiles, like rental companies, sending the vehicles off to have them updated with the new software, new hardware, and this AI program with the kill switches. And to that point, Monday, 2 days ago, I was involved in an accident, got T-boned, not bad, but it was bad enough that my car is in the shop and I had to get a rental. And while I was at the rental lot, the lot was almost completely empty and it had 5 vehicles available for rent. And the guy pointed towards their back lot and it was completely full of every make and model that you can think of. And every single one of the cars was being recalled to have parts outfitted or updated for it. And then the vehicle that he actually selected for me to rent popped up on their system as a recall as well. So he was not able to rent it to me. And then we went to the second best option.
Uh, yeah, it's I don't even know what a solution to that would be. But I could tell you what, I'm going to be questioning every recall on my vehicle though. Um, and my initial reaction, and I probably need to think this through a little bit more, is yeah, I got to figure out a way to not let that happen. They can mask it as this oh, it's gonna just like they do with the fucking flock cameras. Oh, this is really really beneficial for law enforcement to help find vehicles. Yeah, okay. Well, let me talk to you about the ride along I was at in
Yeah.
Tacoma with a police officer
Sh-
in Tacoma who refused to go to a store and help an individual who had their stolen vehicle in their sights in a parking lot. Called the police to help, like, get possession back of his vehicle, and we drove right past. Oh, somebody else will get it. So if flock is that important and it's that needed, why weren't they solving it without flock? You know what I mean? If stolen vehicles are so much of a problem, then why weren't you solving the problem when it presented itself without flock? I don't know. I'm not doing a good job at asking that question, but like flock is way more than what it is advertised as. And this is another example of a start to something and being proposed as a good solution. But I imagine that Palantir is somehow involved, just like they were with Flock. So yeah, there's I'm going to be thinking about how to get around that. I'll tell you that.
yeah. First, on the vehicle front, the immediate solution is go old school. Get older vehicles, older models that do not have computer chips in them. So you're looking at 1990s or honestly, probably older than 1990s, like pre 1990 vehicles without computer chips. At least up to a point where the government bans those because they can't monitor those. But right now they've started with new manufactured vehicles. And yeah, for Flock, it's basically step one of the movie Minority Report, getting the surveillance system in place. And they're already working, Palantir is, on predictability models so that they can predict crime, which is step two of Minority Report. So if you haven't seen that, it's a very good movie for everyone to go back and revisit, or at least read the storyline of that movie.
Yeah, I would say it is very important for guys to start preparing if they haven't already. Like the time was yesterday to be preparing for some dumb shit. Um, to go down at some point. I think a lot of the damage is already done, and there's some things. We are heading in a very strange direction for the future, and World Economic Forum, the globalist agenda is materializing in front of us, and nobody's doing anything about it.
Yeah. And every day, like America is still the best place to live on the planet, in my opinion, but getting worse by the day, especially in certain states. But every day we're losing freedoms. And with flock camera and the new bill for the vehicle kill switch and AI installed, along with some other surveillance tools that the government is implementing, Donald Trump's reaction to a question about it by the media was that he would rather give up rights and freedom and privacy for safety. And anytime that you give up your rights and freedom and privacy for safety, you're going down the road of tyranny.
Yeah, I didn't vote for this version of Mr. Trump. I'll tell you that. So Yeah, either God's coming, like
I didn't either.
either God's coming in the next couple months,
Yeah,
or
I didn't vote. I think we're having some connectivity issues. Yeah, I didn't vote for this version either, but um, that's one because I didn't trust him or his administration to actually do what they were saying, which so far they've done the opposite of everything that they campaigned on. But also because I believe both sides to be essentially two sides of the same coin. No matter what, they push forward the same agenda, just from a different viewpoint. And every single election cycle, we lose more and more freedom.
yeah, it's hard for the regular Joe, like the regular good-hearted citizen, to believe that like there are about 2,000 evil individuals at the top that want nothing more than to control our every move and ensure that we live terrible lives, and it even attempts to kill us, which they say openly and in front of mass gatherings. um, bill gate uh, Bill Gates, for example. And so it's hard for the average citizen to like think that that could be the case. But the reason why that is hard is because they are good-hearted citizens that couldn't themselves think that that could be a reality. They couldn't see themselves doing that. And we have to really detach your own beliefs and your own values from projecting that onto these people that we vote for, or that are making decisions on our behalf that we may or may not be aligned with. So,
Yeah, and most people on both sides of the aisle are genuinely nice people. And like you said, they don't want to believe that there are nefarious characters that don't have their best interest at heart. Gates himself, as you said, during a TED talk, or maybe it was a speech at the WEF, he said that through proper implementation of vaccines, we can get the world's population down to around 500 million. Now, it looks like we lost connection. Can you hear me?
yeah, I got you.
Okay. And we're back. But yeah, their goal is to reduce population. More than just Gates have said this, to reduce it down to 500 million as a manageable level. This was even on the Georgia Guidestones that were erected years back and then destroyed close to a decade ago, maybe. But the Georgia Guidestones also had the exact same number, 500 million. And for that to happen, that means that essentially 8.5 billion people on the planet have to die off or have the ability to not, or lack of ability to reproduce.
Yeah, if you read the book by Klaus Schwab, COVID-19, The Great Reset, he talks about all that, or you have The Great Agenda, also by Klaus Schwab. And funny story is the COVID-19, The Great Reset was published in 2020. Kind of interesting timing there. Unless you already had a book ready and raring to go, it's kind of hard to publish and write in the same year.
Yeah, kind of similar to having a vaccine patented 1 to 2 years before an actual outbreak.
Yep.
Speaking of which, apparently on human body control. The patent, according to this patent, they have the ability to control your body and basically make you do what they want, like a puppet, without you having any say in what is happening.
What does?
What's that?
What does? What patent is that?
I'll pull it up and I'll send it over to you. There's I believe it was from a Department of Defense or Department of War patent through the DoD.
Of course.
That, yeah. So I imagine some sort of a DARPA research, but I'll send it over to you after we're done here. And essentially, it allows them to use signals and electronic communication to send signals to your body and basically hijack your body through the electric signals that go from your brain through your nervous system. So they hijack your nervous system and basically walk you around like a puppet.
Lovely. We call those NPCs. Actually, they've existed for about 100 years.
Yeah. Odd enough, there's an element that helps them with this level of control called graphene, which graphene oxide is one of the ingredients of many of the new versions of what they call vaccines.
I love it.
Well, it looks like we're starting to have some connectivity issues. Do you have anything else that you want to say or put out before we start to close it down?
No, I think we hit a good range of topics. The big thing, if you guys get of nothing else out of this today, be prepared. And if you're somebody who's building a business or wants to win or live at to a higher standard, start with the little things. The little things matter most. How you do one thing is how you do everything.
Yep, I agree. Stay prepared. If you're not prepared, get prepared. Best time to be prepared is yesterday. Second best is right now. So, for everyone that's listening, if you get anything out of this, give it a like and subscribe. Share it with anyone that you think may also benefit from it. And until next time, we'll see you then.